All right, welcome everyone to the presentation, how to achieve superhuman productivity and get a year's worth of work done in the next 30 days. I'm your host, Mike Schmitz. Tan is in the chat as well. Say hi, Tan.
Hello, everybody. We're super excited to have you here today, and I'm super excited to see you, Mike. I'm excited for the content today.
This is going to be fun. We've made even a lot of changes since we did it on Tuesday, so you guys are in for a treat.
Yeah, seems like we have people rolling in here. Can everybody share where they're from? Where are you from? What city, country? Let us know in the chat. We always love to know where everybody's from.
All right, Katie made it from the dojo. Awesome. Welcome, Katie. At least I assume that's the Katie. Or we got, they're rolling in now. We got Tampa, we got Sweden, we got Switzerland, we got Dallas, Texas, Long Beach, California, Louisville, Columbia, Atlanta, Georgia, somebody from Austin, Israel, awesome. Madison, Wisconsin, Wisconsin. I'm actually doing this presentation from Appleton today. We got people from Mexico, England, Hawaii. Luke from the dojo is in here. So yes, thank you. Glad you could join us, Luke. Virginia, London, Pittsburgh, Canada. All right, awesome. So we got a good group here today, and we're going to just make sure before we jump in here, we had some technical issues in the last presentation, so we want to make sure that everything is working 100% for everybody. So I'm going to go off camera now, and I'm going to turn my screen sharing on. Okay, and I'm now launching the intro slide. So I'm going to wait for the go-ahead from Tan to make sure that the audio and the video are both working.
I can hear you. I can see you. Could you move your mouse a little bit, Mike?
And then oh, yeah, I can never see the mouse on my screen.
The people in the chat, can you let us know if you can still hear Mike and see the slide?
Yeah, we want to make sure that this is working for everybody. So you should be able to see Asian Efficiency presents how to achieve superhuman productivity and get a year's worth of work done in the next 30 days.
Yep.
And then while we're waiting for people to confirm, looks like we got a bunch of people.
Jansen says so. David says so. Katie, Simon. Man, we have so many people here from all over the place. That's awesome.
Yeah, this is going to be fun.
We're ready to rock and roll, Mike. I'm excited because I haven't seen the presentation, all the new stuff that you've implemented. I know the content is going to help you guys here. And if you are excited about the content today as well, as much as I am, I think you're going to learn a lot. And like I said, I haven't seen some of the stuff that Mike has put in here. So I'm going to be taking notes as well and learning from Mike here. So I'm going to disappear off camera. I'm going to give the digital floor to you, Mike, and take it away.
All right. Sounds great. So like I said, the name of this presentation is how to achieve superhuman productivity and get a year's worth of work done in the next 30 days. And a big chunk of this is going to be sharing with you how I personally did that. Okay. So I'm your host, Mike Schmitz. I'm a speaker. I'm actually presenting at the MaxStock conference in Woodstock, Illinois in just a couple of weeks. I'm host of the Productivity Show, which is the Asian Efficiency podcast, which just recently went over 3 million downloads. So we were pretty excited about that. And I'm also the author of Thou Shalt Hustle, which is my book on connecting to your calling and discovering your destiny. And that was key to me getting to where I am today. The process that I went through in writing that book, how that led to me getting connected to the Asian Efficiency team. And I want to share with you today the things that I learned along the way that helped me accomplish these big projects that honestly, a few years ago, weren't even on my radar. But I want to teach you the principles that I use to accomplish these big goals faster than I ever really thought possible. And these are the same skills that some of our other super successful friends have used to achieve their goals as well. Like James Clear, who is an author, entrepreneur, and a photographer in more than 25 countries. So you maybe are familiar with James from his blog. He writes a lot about habits and performance, and he now has actually over 400,000 subscribers on his email newsletter. But he started off as just a guy with a blog, and he consistently put out that good content, and it grew to the point where he is today. So what I'm about to teach you can help you do the same thing. Charles No is a good friend of Tan's and one of the foremost thought leaders in affiliate marketing. Over 50,000 people a month read his insights on affiliate marketing, internet marketing, and productivity. He regularly speaks at events like the Affiliate World and Affiliate Summit conferences, and he shared the stage with Neil Patel, Ryan Holiday, many other names you'd probably recognize from the New York Times bestsellers list. But he started off as an average college student with a bunch of debt and a side hustle. He believed in his dreams so much, though, that attaining them became inevitable. Now he teaches other people how to do the same thing using the vehicle of affiliate marketing. John Lee Dumas is somebody that Tan met at a mastermind before his podcast, Entrepreneur on Fire, took off. Now, John has an interesting story because he graduated from Providence College and he served a 13-month tour in Iraq. But when he got back, he had trouble finding a job that would stick. Okay, he jumped from law school to an investment job to a tech startup, but nothing would stick. And he moved to San Diego in 2009, went into real estate just as the economy tanked. So not real great timing, but he started studying entrepreneurs and he launched his Entrepreneur on Fire podcast, which was awarded Best of iTunes. And now he's done over 1,700 interviews with people like Tony Robbins, Seth Godin, Gary Vaynerchuk, Barbara Corcoran, Tim Ferriss, and many more. So the real question that I asked, and you're probably asking yourself right now, is why are some of these people successful and some people not? What is preventing you from achieving John Lee Dumas level success? And I believe the answer is articulated by Tony Robbins, who said that one reason so few of us achieve what we truly want is that we never direct our focus. We never concentrate our power. We all have this potential inside of us, but it's just not concentrated in one specific direction. So in other words, we lack focus. But if we can learn to focus, we can learn to concentrate our power for astounding results. So think about it this way. What happens when the sun shines on a leaf all day? Nothing. It only makes it hot. But if you use a magnifying glass and you focus the sun's energy, then the intensity of concentrating the sun's energy on a specific point is enough to start a fire. So simply concentrating your focus and directing the power you already have within you in a specific direction can result in changing your state and creating the future that you've always dreamed of. Okay. So if you're ready to learn how to direct your focus and take massive action on your goals, let's get started. But before we do, I want to make sure that you're in the right place. This presentation is not for everyone. Okay. You have to have the right mindset if you really want to get the results. So before we dive in, I want to explain a little bit about who this presentation is for, so you don't waste your time if this isn't the right thing for you. Okay. If you are satisfied being a resident in Cubicle Nation, you're just looking for a couple of tactics to help make your situation a little bit better, you might get something out of this, but it's really not designed for you. It's also not designed for you if you're looking for specific advice or tips on how to handle a specific area like email, or you're looking for technical tips, you want to know what apps to use. This presentation is not for you. All right. So the people who are going to benefit from this presentation are people like this. Okay. So if you're an entrepreneur that's looking to bring more value to your business, this presentation has a lot for you. If you're a writer that's looking to manage flow better so you can get and stay in the zone, this presentation is going to be great for you. If you're a remote worker, you're looking to make better use of your time out of the office, this presentation is for you. If you're a musician, an artist, or other creative that's looking for a way to figure out how to get your creative juices flowing on command, this presentation is going to have a lot of information for you. If you're a knowledge worker whose value to your organization is in what you create and produce, this presentation is for you. It's going to help you create the time, create the space, and use your focus muscle to build your side hustle, finally write your book, launch your business, do your best work, whatever it is, fill in the blank. Okay. Now, before I go any further, I want everyone that is here to be committed. Okay. So the ones who win, I've noticed, are the ones who go all in. So I'm not interested in just giving you more information. I'm not interested in just going through the motions. I want to help you transform your life. So if you're all in, I want you to type "I'm in" via the chat box right now. And we're going to stop here for a minute so you can do that. This is extremely important. It's so important that I am dead serious about this. If we don't see you type "I'm in" via the chat, we may boot you from this presentation because I don't want to waste my time, or more importantly, yours, if this presentation isn't for you. Okay, so no hard feelings if you decide to jump off right now. But if you're in, let us know that right now by typing "I'm in" via the chat box. So what's the chat look like, Tan? What are people saying?
Man, people are going crazy. Everybody is saying "I'm in." Vladimir, Jay, Antonio, Katie, Olha, John, Philip, Creed, Sandy, Tiffany, Laura. Everybody's in, Mike. Everybody wants to know the secret sauce.
Excellent. So now that we know that everybody that's still here is serious about transforming their lives and achieving that superhuman level of productivity, let's get started. Let's talk about the 5 biggest focus problems. Okay, we have interviewed hundreds of people about their biggest problems when it comes to focus. And there are 5 main ones that we heard more than any other. In fact, almost everyone that we interviewed dealt with one of these problems in some way, shape, or form. First one is interruptions by coworkers or family members. It can be really difficult to stay in the zone when you have other people popping in at a moment's notice. And if it's a boss or manager, then they can give you a project that can quickly derail your entire day. So blocking out distractions and interruptions is a big one. Another one is finding time to focus on that important deep work. All right, so maybe you know what project you're supposed to be working on and what's going to actually create the future that you've always dreamed of, but you can't find the time to do it. This can be especially hard when you got a million things you have to do and you don't have a solid system for keeping track of everything. Third is prioritizing what I need to work on. Okay, so if you ever feel stuck because you don't know where to start, that's usually because you don't have a real solid sense of your priorities. I used to get overwhelmed just thinking about all the projects I had to finish, and it caused me to not take action on any of them. Anybody else been in that situation? All right, so lack of priority is a major cause of procrastination and a big problem when it comes to focus. Also, feeling tired or not having enough energy. So knowing what to do but not having the energy to follow through on it is another big problem. And this is why time management alone is not going to work for you. You may have the time to work on your project, but if you don't have the energy, you won't get anything done. All right. And then 5th, overcome the fear of missing out, or FOMO. And this is a huge productivity killer because every time you unlock your smartphone, for example, you open up the door to distraction. So you need a strategy which is going to help you overcome this if you really want to follow through and finish your big project. All right. So right now, I want to know, I'm curious, what is your biggest struggle with focus? Tanda's going to put up a poll in the chat, and I want you to take a moment to fill this out. We're going to pause just a minute because it's important that we identify what your biggest hurdle is to superhuman productivity before we attempt to overcome it. We need to know what we're fighting, in other words. So partly this is for us, but mainly this is for you. You need to identify the adversary before you can try to take them down. So Tan, what are people saying in the poll? What is the biggest issue that people are dealing with?
Yeah, it's going neck on neck right now, but the number one seems to be feeling tired or procrastinating. And I'm going to end the poll in about 10 seconds. And we're going to show the results to everybody here as well. But so far, it seems to be that not having enough energy or feeling tired or because of that procrastination seems to be the number one issue. And then the second one seems to be finding your one thing. So out of all the things you need to do, how do you know the one thing that you need to do, that you need to focus on, that you need to prioritize? And then it's actually tied right now with being easily distracted. So it's kind of interesting to see that. So I'm going to leave it up for 5 more seconds, and I'm going to close this, and everybody's going to see the results here. But it seems like, oh, no, finding your one thing is, oh, no, we're being tied again to being easily distracted. So I'm going to end the poll right now, so you guys are going to see the results here. But yeah, the number one is feeling tired and procrastination. And then tied, we have finding your one thing and being easily distracted. And then third seems to be finding the time to focus and then dealing with interruptions.
Yeah, and I empathize with everybody who has answered any of those first 3, feeling tired and procrastinating on your most important project because you just don't have the energy that's left. And then also, I would say that finding your one thing and being easily distracted, those can actually be related. But what we want to do now is we want to help you identify the things that don't work so you don't waste your time trying these, okay? Now, these aren't necessarily bad things. These are actually all good things, but they're not enough to get you to that next level of superhuman productivity by themselves. And this is what people typically try. So in addition to interviewing people about the problems that they experienced, this is what those same people said they tried that did not work, okay? So number 1 was the Pomodoro method. Now, we actually advocate for the Pomodoro method, but it's not enough to help you focus on and complete that big project all by itself. It's a good support, but it's not enough to help you finish. Okay. Second, changing locations can be a great reset. I've talked on the podcast about how I used to jump from coffee shop to get my work done. But again, it's a tactic or a support. It's not enough to sustain you long term. Another strategy is time blocking. And this is a great strategy for scheduling and managing your time. And again, this is something I actually do. But like I mentioned before, if you have the time to work on something, but not the energy or attention to follow through, you're not going to make any progress. Blocking specific sites or apps. This can also be a very good idea. But again, it's just treating the symptom, not the disease. So blocking Facebook or YouTube will make you more productive in the short term, but you need something for the long game. You need something that's going to help you finish, not just get you a little bit further. Okay, we want to help you get to the finish line. What we want to give you is a strategy that I use, that Tan used, and that many other people that we have worked with have used to not do better, but actually win when it comes to their focus. Okay, so what I want to share with you today is called the Focus and Finish System. This will give you the strategy which will help you not only focus, but actually finish those big projects that will create the future that you've always dreamed of. Okay, it's a comprehensive framework that allows you to take massive action on your goals and achieve them faster than you ever thought possible. And there's three pieces to this. There's three pieces to the productivity puzzle if you're really going to get a year's worth of work done in the next 30 days. These things all have to be aligned. Okay, so the three pieces to the productivity puzzle are, number one, time management. There's a ton of people covering time management in the productivity space. This is honestly the most basic level. Okay, just managing your time is not going to help you accomplish your goals. So second is energy. So once you know how to manage your time, managing your energy can actually be a force multiplier. Okay, you can manage your time and you can get 30 minutes every day to work on your project, but if you're dead tired and unmotivated, you won't actually follow through on it. But if you know how to manage your energy, you can make sure you don't give into that procrastination. And then you can leverage the compound effect to take the massive action on your goals. More about that in a little bit. The third one is attention. Okay, so you may have the time to work on your project. You may have the energy to do so, but if you're constantly distracted by that shiny new object or you're dealing with FOMO, you're still not going to get anything done. So the Focus and Finish system is all about this sweet spot right here. This is the secret to massive action being taken on your goals. When you can align your time, energy, and attention, that's like concentrating the sun's rays and starting a forest fire of productivity. Now, we believe everybody here has the potential to do amazing things, and we want to help you do that. Okay, we want to show you today how to hit this sweet spot where you can direct your time, your energy, and attention into the things that are going to produce the biggest results for you. Okay, and I'm going to share my story, what I found along the way, and then how these things started to click for me. That's what we're going to show you today. All right, so we're going to focus on essentially two different pieces in this presentation. All right, number one, managing your energy, and then number two, developing your focus muscle. These two things will provide you the biggest return on your time investment. And we want to help you achieve your big, hairy, audacious goals faster than you ever thought possible. So once again, I'm going to ask for some audience participation. I'm going to ask you, what is your big, hairy, audacious goal? When you hit that sweet spot, what is that thing that you're going to achieve? What big 12-month project are you going to knock out in the next 30 days once you get your time, attention, and energy in alignment? Okay, and this is important. You need to identify where you want to end up. So I'm going to ask you to type this in the chat right now. And the first couple people that we see do this are actually going to get a free copy of Cal Newport's book, Deep Work. Okay, so last time we did this, we had a whole bunch of people filling up the chat. So Tan had the tough job of selecting just a couple of these. So, and I see people are starting to put it in the chat now. So Tan, what are people saying?
We have Christian saying paying off his debt. He was actually the first one. So Christian, congratulations. You win a copy of the book called Deep Work by Cal Newport. So all you have to do is just email us at support@agentefficiency.com and we'll get you your address and then we'll send you your book right away. We also have Jason here, becoming a graphic designer. We have Tamara, says learning Japanese. Sandy says clear clutter and eliminate debt. We also have Jeff, getting to financial independence. These are all great goals, guys. And Jason says finish policy management process. Tracy, she said business renovation and expansion. We have Jansen finding my one thing. We have Rob improving his health. Frederick catching up with backlog. There's a lot of great personal projects and business projects, and I'm going to pick a winner here. So we have Janison. So Janison, if you email us at support@asianefficiency.com, we'll send you a copy. And then we'll pick another one, Genevieve, starting a business. So Genevieve, if you email us as well, we'll send you a copy of Deep Work.
I like Dimitri's, get my 6 kids to help around the house. I know the struggle is real, Dimitri. All right, cool. So we've got a couple winners here, and if you didn't win, don't worry about it. There's going to be a couple other presentation or a couple other spots during this presentation where you'll have opportunities. But what I want to show with you now is how I achieved some of my big, hairy, audacious goals and the problem that I had to overcome. Okay, the problem that everybody has to overcome is a lack of focus. Now, people have trouble focusing and doing the work that they know they need to do. One study estimated 28% of the average workday is lost to distraction, and 47% of the time, people's minds are wandering. In fact, only 1 in 5 people can actually focus on one thing for any length of time. And what that means is that instead of buckling down and doing the things that provide us the greatest good, we settle for those things that give us any good. And this was me. I was trying way too hard to keep my head above water and balance everything that I had to do. I felt constantly overwhelmed. I totally get why people live for the weekend. You feel like you just need a break, and you'll look anywhere to find it. You might find yourself watching the clock like I was, waiting for 5 o'clock to hit so you can get a temporary reprieve from being overwhelmed with everything that you have to do. And this is that any benefit approach. This is why people zone out and they play video games or they watch TV for hours instead of doing those things that they know they should be doing, the things that are going to bring them to their ideal future and help them achieve their big, hairy, audacious goals. Again, this used to be me. In fact, in college, I had a collection of over 200 DVDs, and I had them running in my dorm room constantly. In fact, it got so bad, I couldn't even concentrate or study for a test unless I had some of that background noise. I would actually put in a movie when I needed to study for a test. Obviously, I know now that was not a great idea. And I can only imagine how bad this would have been if smartphones were around at that time. I heard recently at a conference I attended, the average person unlocks their smartphone 180 times per day. Okay, so distraction is the default. And I can tell you, you have to work really hard to overcome this, but it is possible. Just know that you're not going to get any help from the society around you. You have to take matters into your own hands. You have to align your time, energy, and attention. But if you do, you can overcome your circumstances and surroundings and achieve your goals no matter how big they are. All right, so my big, hairy, audacious goal was to write a book. Now, I'm not alone in that. In fact, a recent survey revealed that 81% of Americans felt they had a book in them and that they should write it. At the time of the survey, though, that comes out to about 200 million books, yet only 80,000 get published every year. So that means in any given year, only about 0.4% actually do it. The rest just talk about it. Now, I knew I didn't want to just talk about it. I wanted to be part of the 0.4% that took action. All right. So I want to stop here for a moment because it's worth asking that question. What helps the 0.4% actually achieve their goal? I believe, Tam believes, at Asian Efficiency, we believe it is the ability to focus on your most important task and manage your energy so you consistently take action on those things, which is what I did. Okay. But if you don't have this alignment, you'll find yourself where I was, living like a firefighter. Okay, where you're jumping from urgent fire to urgent fire. You're just trying to keep your head above water. Now, the problem is most people naturally will seek this any benefit approach, but that will always result in what David Allen calls emergency scan modality. All right, so, and I dealt with this too. I had a million things I needed to do, and I had no idea where to even start. It was difficult for me to try and balance family, work, and ministry responsibilities and still find the time to write my book, develop my speaking skills, and help launch the podcast. But I did it. Okay. But this is where I started, a huge list of things that I quote unquote needed to do. And looking at my to-do list every day was depressing because I realized I could never get all of this done. Anybody else been there? Okay, so just looking at this list was overwhelming, and I was firmly caught in emergency scan modality, living like a firefighter. Here's some of the symptoms or things that I suffered from. I forgot stuff all the time because I tried to keep it all in my head, and I never wrote anything down. Okay, so obviously a task manager, systems like Getting Things Done can help with this, but people who try to keep everything in their heads quickly find themselves where I was, constantly racking your brain and trying to remember everything you had to do that day. And the worst part about this is that even if you remember everything, it feels like you're forgetting something because your brain is meant for having those ideas, not for trying to hold them all. I had a short attention span and I could never focus on any one thing for very long because my brain was conditioned to scanning the horizon for the next fire to put out. And most of the time that was caused by me forgetting to do something that I was supposed to do. And the acid test for this, I believe, is how long can you focus on reading one piece of information? All right. Most people have trouble getting through even a medium length blog post. And if you find yourself constantly trying to skip ahead, or maybe you only read the first couple of lines, maybe you send things to Pocket or Instapaper and you tell yourself you're going to read it later and you never do. Okay, that's what I did. That's a byproduct of emergency scan modality. I was easily distracted, and anytime something new and shiny appeared, I chased it because it might be important or I thought it might change my situation for the better. I suffered from shiny new object syndrome. Okay. Anybody else struggle with this? I'm not going to wait for answers. I know that I'm not the only one, but I used to jump from app to app looking for the perfect one that would solve all of my productivity problems. And what I discovered was that the perfect app doesn't exist. What I really needed was to escape emergency scan modality, and then everything got a whole lot easier. I also suffered from day gone by syndrome. I jumped from thing to thing without being intentional, and pretty soon the whole day was gone, and I realized at the end of it, I didn't really do much because busyness does not equal work. I used to get home and I would journal about what I actually got done that day. Sometimes I wouldn't even know what to put. I had made a bunch of phone calls. I sent a bunch of emails, but what did I actually produce? And at the end of the day, all the big projects that I knew I should have taken action on weren't any closer to being completed. These are all symptoms of shallow work, and they don't help us make any real progress on our goals. We'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit. I also suffered from decision fatigue. Now, the average person has to make 35,000 decisions every day, but when you suffer from living like a firefighter, you feel the weight of each and every one. I used to get home and be completely exhausted because I had used every ounce of willpower and mental energy I had trying to keep my head above water. It was really stressful, and it made me too tired to enjoy spending time with my wife and kids by the time I got home at the end of a long day. And the worst part was there was no end in sight, because no matter how hard I attacked my day, it never seemed to make a bit of difference. Every night I would go to bed dreading having to fight an uphill battle again the next morning. So that's when I said enough, and I decided that I needed a new plan. If we want to escape the any benefit approach, an emergency scan modality, we have to have a new plan. So I'm going to share with you what I discovered and what worked for me and what has worked for hundreds of people that we work with here at Agent Efficiency. Now, the strategy I discovered that actually helped me achieve my goals, first part of this, is named after President Dwight Eisenhower, who once said that what is urgent is seldom important, and what is important is seldom urgent. Now, this is a visual representation of this known as the Eisenhower box. Okay, now this basically shows that everything that you need to do falls into one of these four quadrants. Either it's important and urgent, it's important but not urgent, it's urgent but not important, or it is neither important nor urgent. Now, what happens when you're living like a firefighter is you get stuck on the left side of this matrix. You always have more things to do and everything feels urgent. Okay, so we want to escape the tyranny of the urgent, because the things that will take you to your ideal future are important but not urgent. The exercise, the family time, the weekly planning, the deep work, those are the things that typically get pushed to the wayside. Okay, but these are the things that when you do them consistently are going to move you towards your goals and change your situation for the better. So we want to shift from living on the left side of this matrix to the top of this matrix. Okay, and one person that recently completed the 5-day focus challenge, and I thought this was brilliant, so I wanted to share this with you. They actually put a desktop background of the Eisenhower matrix on their computer desktop. So if you've got files all over your desktop and you don't know which ones are which, this can real clearly show you which ones you're supposed to take action on earlier. And this was this person said, "Thanks for putting up the free 5-day focus challenge together and sharing it with us. I'm always looking out for the next great idea or simplifier or just experiences of people smarter than me that can allow me to leapfrog through the trial and error part And the contents of the 5-day focus packed a bunch of those. This is how my desktop looks now after finding the Eisenhower Square, and I'm super grateful because this is a valuable tool to add to the toolbox. Okay, so using the Eisenhower box like this provided a little bit of clarity, but I still had trouble picking that one thing that would produce the greatest results. Okay, it did help out a lot. It helped me realize that not all of these tasks were created equal. All right, but what I needed was a way for me to cut through the clutter and focus on the important things. But this still didn't get me all the way there because I still had trouble picking that one thing that I should be working on at any given moment. I still didn't know what the one thing I really wanted to accomplish was, the one thing that would get me closer to where I wanted to be or my ideal future. So the next exercise I use is called the Wheel of Life. And we actually have a PDF of this. I'm going to ask Tan to put this in the chat so you can download this if you wanted to go through this exercise. And what the Wheel of Life is, for those of you who are not familiar, is you take this diagram and you fill out the wedges, how satisfied you are on a scale of 1 to 10 with your current situation in one of these 8 different areas: physical environment, career or work, family and friends, romance or love, fun and recreation, health and fitness, money, finances, and personal growth. Okay, so for example, if you're really satisfied with where you are in terms of money and finances, you might rate that a 9. But if you're not satisfied with at all with personal growth, you might rate that a 3. And then you shade in the wedges up until the line that indicates the level of satisfaction. So this isn't the original document. I couldn't find it before this presentation, unfortunately, but this is essentially what my Wheel of Life looked like from that time in my life. Okay, and what I realized is that what I was doing wasn't working. So I looked at this and I said, this is the one thing, this is my lowest area that I really want to change. Now, career and work was the lowest, but personal growth was pretty bad too. So I started looking for what things would provide the greatest impact in those two particular areas. And I found one thing that kind of had synergy between both of those. And I made sure that I was consistent with the research and the writing for my book, no matter what the rest of my schedule looked like. And that triggered what is known as the compound effect. This is the key to getting a year's worth of work done in only 30 days. Don't try to do everything. Pick one thing and laser focus on it. Be consistent in the little things that are going to support that one big, hairy, audacious goal. And these little things leverage the compound effect to produce big results. So you maybe have heard of this in the area of finances, but I have a story that I want to share with you about the guy who invented the game of chess. I love this story. The story goes that the guy who invented the game of chess was asked by the ruler of the country where he lived what he wanted as a reward. And he said, I want 1 grain of rice doubled for each square in the chessboard. Now, there's 64 squares in a chessboard. It's 8 by 8. So that means 1 grain of rice for the first, 2 for the second, 4 for the third, 8 for the fourth, and so on. Okay. Now, the ruler was insulted that he didn't ask for more, but he asked the treasurer after a week if he had paid the man. The treasurer said no, because there wasn't enough in the royal treasury. You see that 1 grain of rice doubled 64 times results in this number. It's something like 9,000 trillion. All right. Now, so what that means is that I identified what I should be working on, how I escape the tyranny of the urgent, and accomplish the goal of writing my book. I know that I needed to find that time for writing, which was my important but not urgent task. That meant that I tended to put it off and say, I can do that tomorrow. But it was also my one thing. That was the thing that moved me closest to my ideal future. So instead of trying to balance everything, I embraced an idea which is known as intentional imbalance. I wasn't going to tackle all 8 of those areas in the Wheel of Life. I was going to focus on one. Okay, I was going to be the one who decided what was important and what got worked on, regardless of my current responsibilities. So I didn't try to improve a bunch of different things at once. I picked the one thing, the writing and the research for my book. And then once I knew my one thing, the path for me to follow became pretty clear. And I made the shift from living like a firefighter to living like a samurai. Now, a samurai is laser focused. Okay, they have one mission. They never return until they've successfully completed it. They don't have 10 different varying levels of priorities. They've got the one priority and nothing else matters. They put all their focus on that one thing that is of utmost importance, and nothing can distract them from it. So I decided that nothing was going to stop me from writing my book, not even these guys. Now, having kids is great, But if you have kids, you understand it's not really conducive to achieving big goals or doing focused work. There's a lot of distractions and interruptions that come with the territory. So you have to be intentional if you want to successfully complete your personal goals. But I can tell you that it does not need to be mutually exclusive. I am living proof that you can actually consistently take action on your goals, because despite having 4 kids and a wife at home, despite having a full-time job, despite working part-time with Asian Efficiency, despite being really involved in leading a ministry at our church, I still found that sweet spot of time, energy, and attention to finish writing my book. So let me share with you how I did that. All right, so my story starts here. I like sharing this picture. This is something that I took from my back porch early one morning, because I think this encapsulates my story perfectly. I got this idea to write a book, but I knew that if I waited until the end of the day, it was never going to happen. I knew that by the time I got home, I had no energy left. So even if I had the time to focus at the end of the day after the kids went to bed, I didn't have the energy to do so. So I flipped this around. I started getting up at 5 a.m. so that I could give the very best of my willpower, my energy, my attention, and direct it at my big, hairy, audacious goal, which was writing a book. Now, I'm not a morning person, but I developed a very strong why, and I went through the Eisenhower box and the Wheel of Life exercise. That created enough momentum for my writing habit to stick. And I would get up and I would write every day for an hour before I went into the office. That's how I got in the sweet spot every single day. And if you're not a morning person, you might want to try the same strategy that I did to become one. Just set your alarm 5 minutes earlier every day until you're at the time that you want to get up. And then you can direct the very best of your energy and your attention at your big, hairy, audacious goal. I was able to do this before anybody else got up. It allowed me to write every day before I went into the office. And I published my book in 8 months. Now, honestly, I could have published it long before that, but I'm a perfectionist. And I kept editing and editing and editing and editing and editing for months until one day I finally had enough. And I'm like, I just need to ship this. Okay, so the secret here is identifying what time you have available and then aligning your energy and your attention towards it. So the time I found was at the beginning of the day, but I want to share with you an exercise because most people, I feel, don't understand how much time they really have. All right, so we all have 168 hours in a given week. And let's say that we're going to get a full night's sleep every single night. So that's 8 hours times 7 days. That is 56 hours. Okay. And then let's assume that you've got a full-time job. So that's 40 hours. The average commute is something like 3.5 hours a week. So we'll round that up. We'll say 4 hours. Let's say you want to have 15 hours dedicated to play or leisure. So hobbies, whatever you want to fill in the blank there. Okay. Let's say that you want to exercise consistently. You want to go to the gym every day, or you want to run. And we'll say that we're going to do that every day and take off just one day. So let's say 6 hours a week. All right. Let's say that you spend 15 hours a week cleaning and maintaining your residence. All right. Maybe you're like me and you're involved with a service, like a nonprofit or a church. So let's say 5 hours there. All right. You can see here that even with all of these different commitments, and I've gone through this exercise with a bunch of different people, there's always going to be time left over. Even if you were to go through all of this different time, you've got 27 hours at your disposal. And the key here is, like I said, we want to align not just the time, but the energy and the attention. So most people, they view their task list as things they have to do. But if you're going to take this approach and you're going to budget your time and you're going to make sure that you're doing the things that you like to do or the things that have meaning for you, then you do have the time to follow through with those. It's for most people, it's not a time problem. It's an execution problem. Okay. And one thing that I did to make sure that I followed through and executed was to put my writing time on my calendar. And I see people saying like, Jesse, 3 hours a day commute for me. I know that sometimes you're in a situation and your numbers are going to be different. Hopefully that this exercise shows you, though, that there is going to be some time in your schedule that you can squeeze out. So for me, for example, I was able to squeeze out just an hour a day, Monday through Friday. I put that writing time on my calendar, and then that completely changed my future. All right. So we say all the time at Agent Efficiency that the calendar is sacred ground, but it can be really a useful tool in telling your time where to go. All right, so you may have heard it said when it comes to budgeting, you need to give every dollar a job. Well, I challenge you, every single person that's attending this presentation, you're viewing the replay, whatever, I challenge you to embrace this same mindset with your time. Give every hour a job, and you will make sure that you have time for your one thing. Now, like I said, somebody says no time for eating. You can budget in time for eating. If you had 2 hours for eating every day, that's 14 hours. You're still at 13 hours left over. Someone uses YNAB. Yep, absolutely. The point here is that look for places where you can prioritize the things that are very important to you. Okay. And then when you have those things that are very important to you, put those on your calendar, first, and then make sure that you do it consistently. For me, that was writing. That was my first domino. That started the chain. And by prioritizing that one thing, I started a chain reaction that resulted in me finally taking action on and finishing my book. By focusing on that single thing, seeing it through to completion, you can achieve great levels of success as you start to build that momentum. You can topple over a whole line of dominoes if you just start. Okay. All you have to do is focus on knocking down that first one. Now, in his book, The One Thing, Gary Keller shares a story about how great success can be triggered by simply completing one small action. And he illustrates this point with the fact that a domino can actually knock over another domino up to 50% larger than itself. So that means if you started with a normal 2-inch domino and each domino is 50% larger, the 18th domino that you knock over is going to be the height of the Tower of Pisa, which is just over 183 feet tall. Keep the chain going. The 23rd domino would be as tall as the Eiffel Tower, which is 1,063 feet tall. The 31st domino is going to rival Mount Everest, 29,028 feet above sea level. And by the time you get to the 57th domino, it would go from the Earth to the moon, 238,855 miles. But you never get there by saying, I need to get to the moon. You get there by saying, I'm just going to do this one thing today. I will just. Okay, so this is the trick to sticking with your one thing. Don't shoot for quantity. Focus on quality. Focus on showing up every day, regardless of what happens or what you feel like. I gave myself a time limit. I said, I will just write for 1 hour. I didn't set a goal of 1,000 words or a published blog post. I focused on the activity of writing, and I made sure I was consistent. Now, if you need a little help or a visual support in terms of showing up every day, you might want to follow the advice of Jerry Seinfeld. A young comic once asked Jerry Seinfeld if he had any advice. And Jerry Seinfeld told him that the way to be a better comic was to create better jokes. And the way to create better jokes was to write every day. He also shared a technique that he used to motivate himself to follow through on his one thing, even when he didn't feel like it. The story goes that Jerry Seinfeld revealed a unique calendar system that he used to pressure himself to write. Okay, so he got a big wall calendar that had a whole year on one page, and he hung it on a prominent wall. Then he said, get a big red magic marker, and for every day that you write, if you follow through and actually write, put a big red X on that day. After a few days, you'll have a chain. Just keep at it. The chain will grow longer every day. You'll like seeing that chain, especially when you get a few weeks under your belt. Your only job next is to not break the chain. That is what I did. There's a saying that inch by inch, it's a cinch. Yard by yard, it's hard. So that means if you're part of the 80% that wants to write a book, you don't need to write the whole thing at once. You just need to write a sentence and then a paragraph and then a page and then a chapter. And before long, you've got a book. That's what I did. Okay. And now it's not easy, but that's why you have to understand your one thing. If you have a strong vision, that is going to compel you to finish. You need to have a very strong why. I had a clear picture of what I wanted to accomplish. And that vision of a completed book compelled me to follow through and to not break the chain. Okay. Using this strategy to accomplish the goal of writing my book, I can tell you the process is extremely rewarding. It is exhilarating when you start taking action and you start to see the results. My wife is pretty excited to see it in print, and honestly, so am I. So this was the thing that led to me getting connected with the Agent Efficiency team and a career path that's more personally fulfilling than I could have predicted. All right. So I want to ask you, what would it look like if you were wildly successful? And I want you to write this in the chat. I want you to put it in a specific format, though. I want you to write it in past tense, like it's already happened. So for example, I've written and published my first book, or I've launched my business and gotten my first client. Okay, now we're going to give out a couple more copies of Cal Newport's Deep Work here. We're going to pause here just for a minute for you to fill this out. And I'm going to grab a drink of water, and Tan is going to let us know, what are people saying in the chat, Tan?
Yeah, we have a lot of people sharing their goals here. So we have Jason saying, working from home in a house that I own. I think that's a very cool goal. We have Angela, I have become financially independent. So she wrote it in the past tense, which is great. Randy says, get my first accounting clients. We have Simon, published a peer-reviewed journal. We have Lindsay, I've won Teacher of the Year awards. That would be awesome. We have Katie, I stood on the stage and collected my PhD. I know you've been working really hard on that. Jason, my office would be efficient. We all like to have one. We have Flynn, financially independent digital nomad. I've lived that lifestyle for a while. And we have Marcus. I'd be spending focused time with my kids. I think that's a very cool goal to have, to accomplish. Jim said, move to the beach. We have Eva, I became financially independent. So a lot of you guys are very monetary focused, and that's great. I think those are very good goals to have. I'm happy with how I've structured my life, peaceful and secure. That's what Michelle said. We have Gunther, enjoying a great organization, working on bigger projects for more fun for our customers. So we have a lot of cool stuff here. So I'm going to give away a couple books here. I'm going to give one away to Tammy. So it says, I am financially independent and have my own house. So Tammy, email us at support@asianefficiency.com. I'm going to give you a book. And we have, let's see, Jeremy. I have a brewery producing and selling 10,000 barrels a year. Barry, you want a copy of Deep Work as well. So just email us at support@asianefficiency.com. We'll get it shipped to you. And then we have Olha. Olha said, I got a great body and health, and now I'm at balance with the world and feel free. That's a really nice one. I like that one. So Olha, email us at support@asianefficiency.com. We'll get you a book as well. So Mike, we have a lot of great goals here. So I'm really excited that you are willing to share your system like that with everybody else here. And I hope everybody's learning a lot here. And remember, the whole idea is starting small, focus on your one domino that you need to trigger that triggers everything else. And then if you can perfect that one day, you can do that 30 days in a row. And imagine what you can do 30 days from now. If you just perfect it every single day to focus on that one domino, that would trigger everything else. So Mike, back to you.
All right, cool. Yeah, it's always encouraging to see what everybody's goals are. And Tan's right. You just got to start with that one domino. And then the thing is, you need to stick with it. Okay, so when you first start, it's not going to look like you're doing much. Okay, in fact, you may have to break some bad habits before you develop these good ones. Maybe you've developed a habit of constantly checking your phone. That's a bad habit you need to pull away from. Okay, it's going to be difficult at first, but stick with it. And just launching a rocket in outer space where the majority of the fuel is used simply escaping the pull of Earth's gravity, you might spend a lot of effort escaping that gravitational pull of your old habits. Maybe it's a gravitational pull of comfort, but you have to pull away from it. And I'm here to encourage you because I know it can be done. I did it, Tan did it, so can you. Okay. And there's a lot of other people who have done this as well. This is something which was sent in from our 5-day focus challenge recently. This is a screenshot sent to us by Jens, I believe, and I apologize if I'm messing up that name. Jens said, during the challenge, I figured out that my biggest issue is not really a lack of knowledge, but a lack of action. And the challenge motivated me to do something, finally take action on some of my most important things. I set aside 30 minutes every day so far. While it's still not perfect, as I haven't found the perfect time yet, I have done these 30 minutes consistently so far every day, which makes me pretty proud. I'm proud of you too, Jens, because in the period of only 1 week, Jens has written over 4,000 words. All right, so you can get results just like Jens if you change your mindset and you start aligning your time, your energy, and your attention towards your big, hairy, audacious goals. But you do need to get rid of this mindset that life is a marathon. Okay, this is an example of a fixed mindset that we need to get rid of if we want to achieve our goals faster. According to the life is a marathon mentality, you need to hold back your energy because the race is long and you need to pace yourself or you'll never be able to finish. But how can you honestly say, unless you fail using that approach, that you gave it everything that you had? When there's no finish line in sight, it makes it very difficult to retain that momentum. And this is where procrastination usually creeps in. Now, somebody that overcame this is Teddy Roosevelt. He embraced a new way of thinking. Life is a series of sprints. Now, as a boy, Roosevelt suffered from asthma, and he was frequently too sick to even go outside. One day, his father told him he needed to decide to overcome his weakness. So he started physical training and even boxing. He pushed his body to the limit over and over and over again. And he didn't have the endurance at the beginning. But he implemented this life is a series of sprints mentality, and he pushed himself as far as he could go over and over and over again to not only overcome his physical weakness, but he used this tenacious growth mindset to overcome just about every obstacle that he encountered to become an author, an explorer, a soldier, a naturalist, and even the 26th president of the United States. So remember, we're not trying to just maximize one of these circles. We're trying to find that sweet spot where you can take massive action on your goals faster than you ever thought possible. When you get into this sweet spot and you concentrate that power within you towards one objective, you can achieve a lot more than you ever thought possible. All right, so let me illustrate here. When you don't have focus and the self-discipline skills necessary to zero in on your important projects, when you have that life as a marathon mentality, you'll find yourself pulled a million different directions. This results in you not making any significant progress in any one direction. Okay, but if you embrace the life as a series of sprints mentality, you can focus your energy in one specific direction, and you find yourself consistently taking action on your goals and producing those amazing results. You can do anything, but you can't do everything. Okay, if you are laser focused, you can get whatever you want out of life. All right, now let's go to the next section here, which is how do you develop your focus muscle? We've talked a lot about managing your energy. Let's talk about something called deep work. Okay, this is the key to developing your focus muscle so that you can follow through and take that massive action on your goals and create your ideal future. Again, focus on the activity, not the results. If you do the right things over and over, the results will take care of themselves. And deep work is how you consistently develop that focus muscle and get into the sweet spot. So what is deep work? Well, let me illustrate by comparing shallow work and deep work. Okay, so shallow work are non-cognitively demanding logistical style tasks which are often performed while distracted. And these efforts tend not to create much new value in the world, and they are very easy to replicate. So they make you feel busy and productive, but they really don't do a whole lot. Shallow work is essentially cognitive junk food. Okay, Facebook is for your brain what Oreos are for an athlete. Now, on the other side of that is deep work, which are professional activities, which are performed in a state of distraction-free concentration that push your cognitive capabilities to their limits. So when you have the one thing that you can focus on, then just show up and work on that one thing. And that is deep work. Okay, so shallow work is junk food for your brain. Deep work is the veggies. Deep work makes sure that you are in peak mental shape. All right, so let's compare these side by side. First, we've got shallow work. These are tasks like filling out reports, administrative or maintenance type tasks like sending out invoices, responding to inquiries. And these are tasks that fall into the urgent but not important section of the Eisenhower matrix. So these are tasks that make you feel busy, but they don't contribute much to your overall success, or at least they don't move you towards your ideal future. Okay. So a big example of this is email. The average US worker spends 6.3 hours per day dealing with email. And maybe email is part of your job. It is what it is, but you can't default to going to this thing because it makes you feel productive, which is what most people do. They don't know what to do, and they're like, oh, I better check my email. That's the mentality we want to break. Okay. And the way to do that is deep work. So deep work are things like designing a logo, coding a website, writing a song, building a table and chairs. If you're a carpenter, anything that's creative is naturally inclined towards deep work. And that is going to fall into this quadrant, things that are important but are not urgent. So for me, this was writing my book. It could also be drawing or creating. I mentioned coding, really creating anything where you are creating something new, that is going to be considered deep work. So even if you show up every day and your goal is to create something and you don't like it, you don't think it's good, you don't show the world, just the fact that you showed up and you created something, that's doing deep work, and that's going to make it easier to do that next time. All right. So just to recap, here's the definitions of deep and shallow work again. Shallow work is not cognitively demanding. They're logistical style tasks, which are often performed while distracted, and they're easy to replicate. But deep work are professional activities performed in a state of distraction-free concentration that pushes your cognitive capabilities to their limit. And it's important that we understand the difference here, because you need to be able to identify, select, and then execute eventually those deep work activities if you're looking to improve your situation. Okay, once you know the difference, then all you got to do is show up every day and not break the chain. Just consistently pick those deep work activities. And that's what Aaron did. Aaron recently completed the 5-day focus challenge. And this is a screenshot that Aaron sent in. And it's hard to understand what is being shown here because Aaron is a songwriter. And what Aaron did during the 5-day focus challenge is take all of the bits and all of the pieces that Aaron had laying around and put it into an Evernote notebook. So everything was organized. And now the goal is to follow through and to complete these things. Okay. How many of you have been in that situation where you have bits and pieces of things all over the place, but because you don't have one central location for it, you never follow through and you never finish those things. Okay. That's kind of where I was with writing the book as well. So though this screenshot only shows a small section of Aaron's progress, there are actually 83 different songs in this folder. Okay. And this is an example of showing up every day. All right. So I want to share with you now the formula for doing deep work. And this is, again, coming back to that sweet spot where your time, your attention, and your energy are aligned, because deep work is literally the time that you spend times your intensity of focus, which is your attention and your energy. So you may find yourself in a situation like I was, where you've got kids at home, you've got extracurricular commitments. You may not have a ton to develop the greatest return on your time, energy, and attention investment. Remember, your one thing. You want to find that sweet spot, identify your one thing, and when you get there, you run as hard as you can for as long as you can. It is a series of sprints. Okay, so you want to get into that spot where you are able to maximize your intensity of focus. And I want to ask you right now, what are you going to do today to maximize your intensity of focus towards your one thing? Okay, what is your one thing, your domino that you're going to laser focus on? What is that one thing that by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary? So for me, that was getting up early to devote an hour to writing before my kids got up. I want to hear from you. What are you all doing? And once again, we're going to give away a couple copies of Deep Work by Cal Newport. So Tan, what are people saying in the chat?
Yeah, we have people submitting their answers right now. So somebody's saying getting up early. I really like that one. Following my productivity planner. That's something that Jim said. Katie says, I really need to break down my tasks more and put dedicated deep work sessions each day to write. Right? That's exactly what Mike did. Creed says, block off 90 minutes for stuff. Totally. Peter says, doing yoga. Lance says, getting up at 5:15 a.m. and do Unbeatable Mind. Franklin says, time blocking more. So I'm going to give away a couple books here. So I'm going to give away to Adele, says, doing work while all family is asleep. I think that's a great time to do that, especially when you have no interruptions going on around that time. We have, let's see here, Abby, becoming intentional about what's most important. Yep, that's what we just talked about today, right? And we have Andrew, keeping using my focus blocks. Thanks, 5-day challenge. Good job, Andrew. And we have, let's see, Jesse, break down tasks more into tiny bite-sized pieces and scheduling them. So Jesse, love that answer. I'm going to send you a copy of Deep Work as well. Shoot us an email, support@asianefficiency.com. We'll send you the book. And then we have so many people. Deleting apps like YouTube. Great idea. Let's pick one more here. So next winner is Lindsay. So she said, go to bed earlier than I want to so I can get enough sleep. Sleep is crucial, especially for your energy, right? If you don't get enough sleep, it's very difficult to focus. It's very easy to get procrastination kicking in and getting distracted. So Lindsay, you want a book as well. So shoot us an email at support@asianefficiency.com. We'll send you your book. Back to you, Mike.
All right. Awesome. Yeah, I love a lot of these different suggestions that people are putting in here. Now, the trick is once you've identified your one thing, once you've identified what you're going to do today to maximize your intensity of focus, then like we talked about, just don't break the chain, because every time that you show up and you do that thing, then you are becoming better. All right. And there's a great quote that I love. This has become so good they can't ignore you. And this actually comes from Steve Martin. So Steve Martin is very successful. He's been in 54 movies, according to Wikipedia, as an actor. Does not include television shows or movies that he's produced or written. His estimated net worth is actually over $130 million. And he believes that skills trump passion. And I totally agree with him. In fact, in the 2007 episode of The Charlie Rose Show, he said, nobody ever takes note of my advice because it's not what they want to hear. What they want to hear is, here's how you get an agent. Here's how you write a script. But I always say, be so good they can't ignore you. If somebody's thinking, how can I be really good? People are going to come to you. Now, this is the approach that I have embraced, and I'm actually applying this right now to my public speaking career. So public speaking is another one of those things that I never really saw myself doing. But about a year ago, I got this vision and I joined a Toastmasters group. This year, I actually competed in the international speech competition. I made it past the club level, and the area level, I took third before the district competition. Okay, so I didn't do super well, but it led to some really cool opportunities, like this one where I got to present in front of the Chicago area Mac users group. I mentioned I'm presenting at the MacStock Conference and Expo, which is actually in a couple of weeks. I've even recently submitted to speak at a couple of different TEDx events like TEDx Chicago. But I was just like the average person when I started. I was terrified. You know, people say that the number one fear that people have is public speaking, and number two is death. That was me. But every time that I get to present, I get a little bit better and I get a little more confidence. And then each presentation is one more step towards me becoming so good, people can't ignore me. And I'm developing more and more of what Cal Newport would call career capital along the way. All right, and that's actually what Kimmy did in the 5-day focus challenge. He says, what an awesome week. Thank you for the well put together mini course. I found that taking the challenge with other committed people who shared their daily thoughts and experiences has made a big difference in how I was able to easily accept each day's offering as part of how I do things. I was surprised at how productive I suddenly became from day one simply by adding a focus block to my calendar. I've used focus blocks before, but when the time came, I would often have some excuse to ignore it because of the community. I couldn't ignore the focus blocks this time. I was amazed at the difference that working on that most important task made in the outcome of my day. I could also concentrate more on it because I knew I had set aside the time for this task and I had a time limit if I needed it. I could therefore put aside interruptions until the time slot was up. Thank you. This 5-day focus challenge has positively impacted my life. With such an experience under my belt, it will be a lot easier to continue the practices instead of ignoring them. Yeah, this is exactly what I did when I was writing my book. I showed up and I did that deep work every single day. So let's jump in here and let's talk about how to actually do that deep work. I want to share a couple quick tips for you. Okay, so you already learned some of the tips that are going to help this habit of deep work stick. Okay, so we've got the formula, but now what we're going to do is we're going to dive into some of the details. All right, so the first thing here, develop a craftsman mindset. You see, a craftsman is a person who is skilled in a particular craft. So this passion mindset of just doing something that you enjoy is not actually good advice. Cal Newport says in the book Deep Work that the passion mindset focuses on what the world can offer you. The craftsman mindset focuses on what you can offer the world. Mike Rowe, the face of Dirty Jobs, said that don't follow your passion, but always bring it with you. And that's what the Craftsman mindset is all about. It's about developing those skills. So really, if you want to become valuable to the marketplace, you want to develop the career capital, which you can leverage to the future that you've always wanted. What you really need to ask is, what can I do that's hard? If you can learn to develop this type of attitude towards your work, no matter what industry you're involved in, you will set yourself up for success. Another tip, which people mentioned even in the last time we paused and asked for feedback, was laying off social media. So getting off of Facebook, getting off of YouTube. Social media is often responsible for that any benefit approach. And you need to avoid this as much as possible in order to actually get deep work done. All right. So also drain the shallows. There's lots of things that contribute to embracing the any benefit approach. It's not just social media. The average American watches 30 hours of TV a week. The average U.S. worker, I mentioned, spends 6.3 hours per day dealing with email. Both of these things are placebos. They may make you feel good or even productive, but they're not really contributing any value. And the problem is we go to these things because they're so accessible. So draining the shallows means that we're intentional and we're focused about deep work in order to actually do it. And we eliminate these things as possible distractions. Okay. And then you need to schedule your deep work. This is called fixed schedule productivity. If you never create the space to do it, it's never going to happen. Remember, we want that sweet spot of time, attention, and energy. All right. So this is what I did when we were launching the productivity show. Okay. And this just goes to show you that you don't need to have an entire day to devote to deep work, because I was all over the place and I was squeezing out time whenever I could to work on this. But it worked because the productivity show was actually featured in iTunes New and Noteworthy when it launched, and it's consistently been one of the top business podcasts on iTunes. Now, even though when this launched, I was responsible for a lot of the editing and publishing, the majority of the time that I spent on the podcast was from coffee shops, either before or after work, as I would squeeze in whatever time I could to work on this project. Okay, so this became my most important task after my book got published. And this is the same kind of thing that Brooks did. Brooks Duncan launched his documents back in 2008. And he decided that he wanted to create a website that he wanted to read, something where people who wanted to go paperless could find tips and advice, something that talked about going paperless in the most, in his words, awesome way possible, using fast scanners and automation. But there were 3 problems. He was technical. He didn't really know anything about creating an online business. He had a full-time job that was mentally draining and quite stressful. So he didn't have a lot of energy in the evenings, and he had a young family, including a 3-year-old and an almost 1-year-old. And he obviously wanted to be present with them. Okay. So he didn't have a lot of spare time. He looked at the time and energy that he had available. He decided, just like I did, early mornings would work best for his one thing. So every morning he would hop on the SkyTrain, which is Vancouver's metro system, at 6:30 and head downtown. At first, he'd hang out in the lobby of a nice hotel. He'd study online business and how to do it. And after that, he'd spend every morning at a Starbucks across the street from his office building site. Now, this is actually notes from his very first brainstorming session that he had about his business. And then from there, he broke it down in his task manager, which at the time was Remember the Milk, to chip away at this thing. Remember, just show up every day. And from 6:45 to 7:55 every weekday, he'd work on creating his site. Then at 7:55, he'd snapshot his MacBook and he'd walk across the street to his job, which started at 8. During lunchtime, he'd microwave his lunch, he'd go find an empty office or breakout room, and he would continue researching or working away on his site. Eventually, he got it to the point where it was ready to launch. Eventually, it found an audience. Eventually, he got connected with Tan. And this winter, he actually joined the Asian efficiency team. Now, no matter what your goal is, no matter what your big, hairy, audacious goal is, your ideal future is, once you've identified your one thing, just stick with it, because that consistency is key. You want to find that sweet spot. You want to stay in it as long as you can. Now, this can be tough as you're beginning to figure things out, but do it. Just continually do the right things. That is going to build momentum. And just like a steam engine, once you get enough momentum, you're going to be impossible to stop. Another example of somebody who implemented this, even just from the 5-day focus challenge, is Julian. Julian says, I just wanted to thank you again for helping me get traction on my goal. My most important task was finishing a presentation for university, and it moved forward a lot because of you. So I want to encourage you. It doesn't matter what your project is. It doesn't matter how big it is. Work with what you have, and don't beat yourself up if you can't devote your entire day to developing this thing that is your dream. The important thing is not that you start doing 8 hours of deep work every day. The important thing is that you identify your one thing and you direct your time, your attention, your energy toward it. That's what I did, and it completely changed my life. I remember one summer a couple of years ago, before I started working full-time at Asian Efficiency, my family went on vacation to the lake. Now, the lake is my happy place. There's just something about the water that melts all the stress off of me. And this particular trip, I decided I needed to completely disconnect. No work, no email, no nothing. And I distinctly recall a moment that happened on day 4 of that vacation. I was hanging out with my family, just enjoying being around my wife and 4 boys, when out of the blue, my wife told me, "That's the first time I've seen you smile, like really smile, in months." And it caught me completely off guard. I realized at that moment that she was right, that I had been holding so much stress and worry about my job that even though I thought I'd been fine, I realized that particular moment that I hadn't really been happy. I decided something needed to change and I needed to take control of my situation. That's when I started working on my book. That's what eventually led to me getting connected in my job with Asian Efficiency. Now I have the flexibility to prioritize my family as my one thing. And if I want to take off on a Friday to go to the museum like we did in this picture, then I'm free to do that. And that flexibility is what I really value. Managing my time, my energy, and my attention is what enabled me to get there. Now, maybe you find yourself today at the same fork in the road that I found myself a couple years ago. If you want to break free, if you want to make a fresh start, then you need to change what you're doing. The reason you keep getting the results you've always gotten, maybe because you keep doing the things that you've always done. Now, the good news is you have the potential to change your future. You just need to change your course. And sometimes those smallest adjustments can produce the biggest results and help you get to your destination. For example, if you're an airline pilot, you need to make sure you're going in the exact right direction. If your compass is off even a single degree, there's no way you're going to get where you want to go. Okay. You may need something today that is tested, something you can feel confident will deliver you the results you're looking for, something that's worked for other people in your situation, so you know it's going to work for you as well. Okay. Now you can actually benefit from all of my mistakes. Okay. I figured this stuff out eventually. Tan figured this stuff out eventually. Brooks figured this stuff out eventually. But collaboratively, we picked the things that we thought were the biggest drivers of success, and we started testing these things internally. We came up with a strategy that worked for us, and then we thought, could this actually work for other people as well? So we started the research process, which looked something like this. All right, so we did hundreds of hours of market research. We looked high and low for the very best tools and techniques when it came to managing your focus. But just knowing what everyone else was doing wasn't enough, obviously. We surveyed hundreds of our current customers about their biggest pain points of focus and then also what they had tried. And we went through all of these survey results. We identified the people that we could tell were really passionate about the problems they were having. And some of you that are on this presentation today, maybe you were part of that. Okay, so then we got on the phone and we talked to these people about their experiences and the problems that they were running into. And the whole team read through these transcripts. Once we had these conversations, that's where the rubber really hit the road, because we mapped out all these issues, we identified the biggest ones, and we started crafting practical, actionable solutions for each of these specific problems. And these solutions were custom fitted for the problems that the customers were having. So we figured they'd work well, but we didn't want to leave it to chance. We actually tested it with people. And this process was invaluable because it showed us what worked, what didn't, what needed a little more clarification. And then finally, we created videos for each of these solutions that we tested. Now, this process cost us hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars, but in the end, we found that this does really work for people. As an example, I recently worked with Kelsey from the dojo just last week to further test parts of our system. Now, Kelsey has worked in the cosmetics industry since 2005. She's recently decided to make a change in her career. And after taking a hiatus of 4 months, she recently decided to get back into the workplace. She got a part-time job as a consultant that pays the bills, but she's not overly passionate about it. So her real passion is in design, and she wants to go into that full-time. Her dream is to have a full-time design business. Now, the problem is that she has all these skills that she needs to learn, and she has to learn new ones for her career change. Everything she learned from the cosmetics industry doesn't necessarily translate to design. And without a big background in design, she has to spend a lot of time studying and learning. But as you know, studying and learning also doesn't pay the bills. So she decided to get that part-time job to pay the bills while she's trying to take her new business off the ground. She has a good idea of what her business will look like in the future, but she struggles with some of the groundwork that she needs to do. There's so many things to starting a business and to learning design skills while learning how to balance everything else that she has going on in her life. So she's got a lot of these ideas floating around. She's got a lot of stuff that she's got to do, and that tends to get lost in the shuffle. So when I worked with Kelsey at that particular moment, she was overwhelmed by everything that needed to be done, and she felt a lot of pressure to make this career change go faster. And in her words, she felt stuck. So when I spoke to Kelsey, I thought that the planning your ideal week exercise that we actually did on this presentation would be perfect for her. We walked her through what was really important to her and helped her create the time on her calendar to follow through and take action on her big, hairy, audacious goal. This one experience provided the adjustment to help her get clarity. And now she's got more confidence going forward of what her realistic commitments are and how she's going to grow her business. It's not guesswork anymore or hoping that things are going to work out. She's got a clear action plan going forward. She says, I've been trying to get this going for nearly 10 months, and I tried everything to get unstuck with it. I walked away from it, traveled for 4 months to try to get some clarity around it, took courses, etc., and lay the steps out in an orderly and realistic fashion, but got overwhelmed. I really realized the key factor was that I don't know what I'm doing, is that I didn't know how to organize it all. The business plan kept evolving into something completely different, and it wasn't leading me towards my goals, which was also killing my drive and adding to my anxiety and stress about it all. I feel really good about where it's at now. I have a realistic way to break it down and started chunking segments out and estimating how much time each thing would take, and then seeing how that fits into the overall picture of my week with all the other things I'm juggling. The ideal week thing we did was really great because it showed me just how much extra time I have. And that was just one exercise from this solution that we crafted. So what is this solution that will help you get clarity and confidence and develop that laser-like focus so you can achieve superhuman productivity and accomplish in 30 days what it takes others a whole year to do? Okay. Well, this solution is going to show you how to get clarity on your goals and vision so you can get excited about your future. It's going to show you how to prioritize your projects and tasks so you always work on the right things. It shows you how to find your one thing to work on, your first domino that creates substantial momentum towards your ideal future. It shows you how to organize your calendar and schedule for deep work. It shows you how to organize your desk and your office for optimal focus. It shows you how to remove 90% of distractions and interruptions, not 100%. We realize that that would be impossible. Okay, and it shows you the right way to deal with interruptions at work and get back on track in 3 minutes. It shows you how to balance multiple areas of responsibility when you wear many different hats. So at this point, you're probably wondering, what is this solution? Well, I am pleased to announce to you today Finisher's Fastlane, which is a system that teaches you the keys to achieving focus that will let you finally stay on top of all your responsibilities as you start and finish your most important projects. So if you feel like you're overflowing with ideas and new opportunities, but you don't know where to start, this has practical steps to help you zoom out, prioritize, and work on what matters to create the future that you've always dreamed of. This is the result of roughly 18 months of hard work. And I am really excited to introduce this to you today. So Finisher's Fastlane is going to give you all of this and more. Okay, if you participated in the 5-day focus challenge, or if you got a lot out of this training, this is just the free stuff. We want to give you some actionable content that produces faster results, but obviously we're saving some of our best stuff for this premium course, which is designed to accelerate your success. Okay, but don't just take my word for it. Meet Joe Powers, who is an internationally acclaimed harmonica player, composer, and recording artist. Now, Joe, like many of you, is very creative. And as a creative, he knows it's easy to procrastinate, get distracted, and blame external factors for your lack of focus. Okay, now you may be thinking to yourself, we're all wired differently. Systems don't work for us, which is why we thought Joe was a perfect beta tester for this course. So he went through our 4-step focus system inside Finisher's Fastlane, finally got clarity on how he needed to redirect his focus, those vital few activities that would help him get more gigs and exposure. He says, I used to procrastinate because projects seemed insurmountably large. Distractions seemed to come at me from every direction. It was hard to know where to challenge my energy. I had a tendency to put my highest goals in the back burner while I swatted at the numerous emergencies that swarmed around me like hungry mosquitoes. The Finisher's Fastlane course has helped me regain my clarity and my sanity so that I can focus on the things that truly matter. Thanks so much to the Asian Efficiency team for producing this gem of a course. And it worked for other people too. Chris said that the recent course put on by Asian Efficiency was a simple reminder that focus requires intentional reflection and planning. Just a little bit of effort in those two areas goes a long way. When combined with discipline to follow through on that plan, your goals can be achieved. Thanks, Asian Efficiency, for helping me get more focused. Tim says the aha moment in the Focus and Deep Work course for me was a realization that I needed to take actions necessary to make the state of an activity an inevitability. Starting is always the hardest part. And once I get on a roll, it's usually a sprint to the finish. So here's a breakdown of everything that you get inside of Finisher's Fastlane. So obviously you get the course itself, and the course contains 38 videos that take you through our focus system step by step. It gives you the action plans to help you put that information into concrete action. It gives you all the presentation slides and the transcripts so you can read along at your own pace. All right, so there are action screencasts that go along with this, which show you exactly how to set up your environment so that it is easy to settle in and do the deep work that will result in the success that you are looking for. And this is a $199 value. There's also the Deep Work Masterclass. So if you want to learn more about how to effectively create the space to do deep work, which will help you take that massive action on your goals, this masterclass is for you. We explain how to implement some of the different strategies that we presented here today. So we shared some of the basics, but this gets into the advanced strategies, and this is a $199 value. There's also the Planning the Perfect Week Masterclass, where focus and deep work is a lot easier to do when you've got that system set up on your calendar for creating the space to do deep work regularly. So this masterclass will show you how to make sure that you have the time and space to do that deep work, and this is a $199 value. Then there's the Focus Apps and Tools Masterclass. So people ask us all the time what tools and apps we recommend, because it's easy to just get an app and expect it to work. But in reality, if it only works if you know how to use it. So in this masterclass, we show you not only what tools to use, but also how to set them up and use them effectively. So this is a $199 value. We've also got a Corporate Productivity Masterclass, which will show you how to overcome distractions and interruptions in a corporate setting where you sometimes don't have the ability to change your environment and do that deep focus work. And this masterclass will show you how you can still carve out time and space to do the deep work that you need to do in order to build the career capital to advance your career. This is a $499 value. Okay. So Sarah says, this course has helped me return to what is really important. I've strayed from my focus and determined path over the last few months. And this course got me back on track, including putting focus blocks in my calendar, creating a new board on Trello. Betsy says, I've learned so much about deep work and focus from the Asian Efficiency team. I've been able to incorporate mindfulness, Pomodoro sprints, eating your frog first thing to improve my efficiency and performance. Whenever I take a class, read their content, or listen to a podcast, I walk away more determined than ever to implement their suggestions and directions. Now, you may have heard it said that there is no magic formula for success. I can tell you from experience that that's not true. And this Finisher's Fastlane course is the closest thing there is to a real-life cheat code. We figured this stuff out. We tested it with hundreds of people. We want to share this with you. It's designed to quickly close the gap between where you are now and where you want to be. You will be successful and achieve the results that maybe right now you can only dream of. And once you get there, I got to warn you, there's no going back. You're going to be ruined for the ordinary. Winifred Gallagher said it this way: I'll live the focused life because it's the best kind there is. Steve Jobs says that's been one of my mantras, focus and simplicity. And he's the CEO. He was the CEO of, as of right now, the world's most profitable company. Benjamin Franklin said, never confuse motion with action. So we want to help you take action, not just create motion. And at this point, maybe you're interested and maybe you're a little bit frustrated because I haven't shared the price with you. All right, so don't worry, I'm going to do that right now, but I want to explain the different options that are available. All right, so first let's talk about the corporate version. This includes everything: the course, the screencast, the Deep Work Masterclass, Planning Perfect Week Masterclass, Focus Apps and Tools Masterclass, and the Corporate Productivity Masterclass. This is $999 or 3 payments of $399. There's also the elite version, which is everything except the corporate productivity masterclass. And that is $599 or 3 payments of $199. And then there's the basic version, which includes the course and the screencast. And this is $499 or 3 payments of $169. Now, if you're wondering which one is right for you, the middle version, the elite, is the one that is going to be right for most people. It's the best value. This is what most people will buy. So that's going to include everything that you see here. And it's normally $599. But if you purchase during this presentation, you actually get a $100 discount. So you can get everything for $499. And so you get a $100 discount. You still get the 3 master classes, which are worth close to $600. Okay, but it gets better. We want to reward people who take quick action. So we've got a couple other awesome bonuses that we'll include for people who enroll right now. All right. So first is the procrastination masterclass. And this is the #1 issue that most people have with focus. In fact, 34% of you said that feeling tired or dealing with procrastination was your biggest issue with focus. So if you're someone who has trouble getting started, this masterclass is for you. And we know that some of you, once you get going, you can focus intensely, but you just have trouble getting started. All right, so this masterclass is a $199 value, but you get it free if you buy Finishers Fastlane right now. We're also going to include the Shiny New Object Masterclass. So some of you get easily distracted. Okay, some of you even admit that you like to chase that shiny new object. And if this is you and you can get a grip on this, then you're going to become unstoppable. So this Shiny New Object Masterclass is going to help you, even if you've got a history of signing up for online courses, taking 20% of the material, and then you never follow through. If you've got a habit of signing up for every new productivity app that comes out, hoping that this will finally be the one that helps you focus and work on your goals. If you've started or stopped 10 different productivity systems, this masterclass is going to be for you. And this is a $199 value. It's not available anywhere else, but you get it for free if you purchase Finishers Fastlane right now. Okay, there's also the Focus for Parents Masterclass. So you'll get this as well. I know some of you have kids like I did when I started my journey, and there are certain unique challenges that you have to face. Okay, so this masterclass is going to show you how to overcome these unexpected interruptions and other specific challenges that parents face. Now, we interviewed actually over 50 parents to find the focus tactics that work, not just for me. Okay, so that'll work for you no matter how crazy your schedule is or how young your kids are. And this is a $199 value that is not available anywhere else, but you get it for free if you purchase Finishers Fastlane right now. All right, so you get Finishers Fastlane, you get the Planning the Perfect Week Masterclass, Focus Apps and Tools Masterclass, the Deep Work Masterclass, the Procrastination Masterclass, the Shiny New Object Masterclass, and the Focus for Parents Masterclass at not $599, but $499 during this presentation only. That is a $100 discount plus almost $1,200 worth of bonuses for only $499. It's the craziest offer we've ever done, but it's the first time we've introduced this course. We know it's extremely powerful and it will help you achieve that superhuman productivity. But don't just take my word for it. Mike from South Africa says, this has drawn my attention to how the day needs to be managed. Taking into account good quality time and poor quality time, the course made me realize that it is better to leave tasks that require much concentration to the good quality time and do more mundane tasks in the time when I have cognitive fatigue. It also made me realize that cognitive fatigue is something that needs to be managed just like our physical fitness and personal health. Thank you, Asian Efficiency. Lawrence says, I have labored back from debilitating headaches, and using your systems, I am able to capture a decent bit of my productivity before my injury. I appreciate what you have offered to all of us out here. Because of this, I am able to not only do my work as an Anglican priest, but work towards a goal of having a fine art contemplative photography business. Okay, so all of this for $499. All right, but only if you purchase during this presentation. All right, so let's get into Q&A, but actually before we do that, let's take a look at some frequently asked questions. So these are questions that we get asked all the time. All right, how is this different from other focus products? This is definitely not the only focus product that is available, okay? Many other products or courses will teach you the mindset, but just knowing the mindset isn't really enough to affect lasting change. Other courses will teach you the tactics, the small things you need to do, but they don't end up sticking without a strong why. And then our course offers the action screencast. We show you how to implement the tactics with the right mindset. Okay, so our brand promise is to deliver that actionable content that produces the faster results. And we fulfill that by showing you step by step how to not only get focused, but also how to shape your environment to help you succeed at this, as well as some tested workflows. All right, so our approach is different in that we teach a three-pronged approach, which we call the focus trifecta. So we teach you the mindset you need to make things stick and the tactics to provide the immediate benefit, but we also teach supports. Okay, this third part is just as important because the supports help you follow through with the techniques and realize the change that you want to see in your life. The right deep work supports serve as a mental scaffolding for your brain to actually do that deep work. All right, so Finishers Fastlane provides you with all three parts of this focus trifecta and gives you the power you need to overcome your environment and take massive action on your goals. We also have multiple experts, so you get strategies from different backgrounds and different situations, which results in a more comprehensive and complete solution. We test everything until it's perfected before we release it. I already mentioned how we spent hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars on developing this course. We test it with real people in all sorts of situations and backgrounds. We dot every I, we cross every T, and we have the best customer service in the industry with 24-hour response time. People email us all the time with technical and personal questions and often get an immediate response. Next question we get asked all the time, can I get this information somewhere else? Yeah, you could get it other ways. Option one, you could actually just hire a coach. Okay, you could have someone show you the way of productivity coaching, which is typically between $300 and $1,000 per hour. And this would work, but it's pretty expensive. Option two would be live seminars. And I put $2,000 with travel expenses, but I actually saw one the other day that was almost $10,000. And this does not factor in time off from your job or time away from your family. You could do what I did. You could do what Brooks did. You could do self-study. You could read the books. You could listen to the podcasts. You could try to test all this stuff yourself, but that is a whole lot of time. Or option four is the Finishers Fastlane. Now, when you're unfocused, we know it's like sitting in traffic. You know you can go faster, but you're stuck going at a snail's pace. We don't want you to be stuck in traffic. We want you to get in the fast lane. So if you want faster results and you're ready to hop on the Autobahn, Finishers Fastlane is a proven solution. For a small investment, you can get on the toll road and you can hit top gear. And you'll get on that fast lane to becoming not just someone who has ideas or start things, but someone who finishes. So Finishers Fastlane is essentially the easy button. It gives you the quickest results and is, in the long run, definitely the most cost effective. Okay, next question. Do I have to buy right now? Can't I wait? Yes, you can wait, but you will lose out on these 3 fast action bonuses. All right, so the fact that you're live right now means a lot to us. We want to reward you for being someone who takes action. Tan is always telling us speed of implementation is key. The quicker you implement a solution, the more effective it's going to be. So if you want these 3 masterclasses, the Procrastination Masterclass, the Shiny New Object Masterclass, and the Focus for Parents Masterclass, these are not available anywhere else. So you will miss out on those, and you will also miss out on this $100 discount, which is only for workshop attendees. How can I be sure I'm not wasting my money? That is a lot of money. I understand that. We understand that. And that is why we have something that nobody else in the industry does, a 60-day double your money back guarantee. So we are so confident that this is going to work for you that we are willing to double your investment back if it doesn't. All right. So if you've bought stuff from Asian Efficiency in the past, you know that you can return it for any reason. You can use it for 60 days. And if it doesn't work, tell us you want a refund and we'll give you your money back. However, if you provide some simple feedback to show that you tried our exercises, we want to reward you for the time that you invested in this course, even though it didn't meet your needs. So we will double your money back. And if you don't want to give us feedback, that's fine. We'll refund the amount that you paid, no questions asked. Okay. How do I know this will work for me? Well, it worked for me. It worked for hundreds of other people. I'm confident that this will work for you as well. Brandon Wentland is the president and creative director of Optimal Digital Marketing. He's also a member of the dojo. He's been on the podcast as a 12-week-year expert, and he's contributed the 12-week-year training videos, which are in the dojo. And he actually put together a video, which we're going to show you right now.
My name is Brandon Wentland, and I run a growth and internet marketing company called Optimal. I've had the pleasure to know Mike and some of the other team members at Agent Efficiency for some time. I'm absolutely blown away by their commitment to focus and how much they can actually get done. This course is an inside look to their secret sauce. What I love about the Finisher's Fastlane is that it has something for everyone, novice to master. It covers a huge range of topics and is a truly comprehensive system. My favorite videos include the ones on buffer blocks and how to deal with distractions, and how focusing on just one thing can make everything else easier. It's time to stop being reactionary, to live with intentionality and focus. The Finisher's Fastlane can transform your life.
All right. So let's move on here to another question. What if it doesn't work as well as you say it does? Tony Robbins says that what people can do is very different than what they will do. For most people, it's not a knowledge problem. It's an execution problem. They get stuck spinning their wheels, and Finisher's Fastlane is designed to help you make the small adjustments to pop you into gear so you can accelerate towards your ideal future. It's designed to help you finally take action on and complete your goals. That's what Jason Stone did. Now, Jason is someone who went through the 5-day focus challenge, and Jason was able to, in a period of 5 days, actually finish the website and launch his business, affordablecomputertutor.com. And this is a screenshot from his business. It doesn't take a lot. You just have to have that energy and the focus to take action, and you can achieve those results faster than you ever thought possible, just like Jason. So what are the results worth to you? What would you pay to actually have your business launched, your book finished, or your project completed? Okay. Let's assume it's not as great as I'm making it sound. What if this course doesn't really provide you anything new? What if all it did was help you apply the information that you've gotten from this training? What would that look like for you? Okay, because that's really what we're offering with the Finisher's Fastlane. It's not just information, it's the results that you've been looking for. Okay, and then how long do I have to get the bonuses and the discount? You have until the end of this presentation. So we're going to get into some of your questions right now. All right, and as we're doing Q&A, if you decide that you're ready to join, take advantage of this $499 offer where you get the $1,200 in bonuses. You will get all that you see here included. So you'll get the course, the step-by-step video screencast, the action plan and the transcripts, the Deep Work Masterclass, which is $199 value, the Planning the Perfect Week Masterclass, which is $199 value, the Focus Apps and Tools Masterclass, which is $199 value, the Procrastination Masterclass, $199 value, Shiny New Object Masterclass, which is $199 value, and then the Focus for Parents Masterclass, which is $199 value. All right, and at this point, I'm going to hand it off to Tan because I've been talking for a long time. My voice is about to go. So, Tan, you want to tackle some of these questions?
Yeah, we have a lot of great questions. And if you do have any questions you want to get answered right now, put it in the chat, and we're more than happy to help you out right now. This time is really dedicated to you and making sure that you get any questions you might have answered. Now, before we get started, I want to welcome a bunch of people that have bought and joined Finisher's Fastlane. So the first person who joined was Creed from California, so welcome. We also have Janison, who's here in the chat with us. Congratulations, we're happy to have you with us. We also have Mark from Florida. We have Franklin, who bought the corporate package. Welcome. And Franklin's from Texas. Go Texas. We also have Sam here who joined us. And then we have Bonnie, we have Tim, we have Tammy, we have Jeff. Welcome, guys. And to answer Franklin's question here, we'll make sure you're going to get the bonuses as well. Don't worry. We got you covered here. Fran says, when will you be sending out the link to the recording? We'll send it out tomorrow. You'll get it within the next 24 hours. We want to make sure you can go through this material again because I know it's extremely valuable. Greg says, how much time will it take to finish all of these courses and master classes? So the system itself inside Finisher's Fastlane, you can learn in one afternoon. And each master class will take about an hour and a half or so. So if you complete everything, you can essentially do that in one weekend if you wanted to. But the system itself, you can learn that in one afternoon. If Michelle says, is the course the same as the step-by-step video screencast, or is there something else? So this course is a combination of teaching you the concepts and the systems, and also you're going to learn step-by-step videos from us. And so you're going to learn step-by-step how to set up certain tools and apps and settings so that you know exactly how to use certain tools and apps to help you focus. So this is how this course is very different from all the other courses that are out there. Because a lot of courses just teach you the high level concepts, or they teach you only the tactical things, but we want to teach you both, right? So that you know on a high level what you need to do, but also on a tactical level, on the day-to-day level, you know exactly what you need to do, and we're going to guide you through that process. And as with anything, we're going to be available 24/7 through a customer support team. And I will be personally helping you out. Mike will be personally helping you out and guiding you through this whole process. So you're never going to get stuck. And if you do, we're going to be there to help you out. John says, go Texas. Hey, John, welcome from Houston. Let's see, what other questions do we have here? Where do I connect to the basic Finishes Fastlane? I will put a link in the chat for you, Leslie, if you want to get the basic version. However, remember, the basic version right now is the same price as this discounted offer you're seeing here on the screen. So if you want to pay $4.99, you might as well get the Elite package right now during this live presentation, because you're going to get all the bonuses and all the extras as well. So you want to make sure, if you really wanted to get all of that stuff, you want to make sure you do it right now. So Leonard says, I purchased several of your programs. Any discounts for those who are returners? I really appreciate, Leonard, that you've bought several of our programs, especially all the Dojo members who are here. Since this is a brand new program and something completely different, something we've invested thousands of dollars in, we can't unfortunately give discounts to returning members right now. However, if you are a Dojo member, we might give you a special perk in the future. But since this is a brand new program, we can't do that right now. And I honestly don't know when we will be able to do that because a lot of people, as I mentioned earlier, have already bought it at full price. And I want to make sure I'm fair to everybody here. So let me welcome some new members here that have enrolled. So we have Genevieve, who just enrolled. Welcome, Genevieve, from California, or from Canada, I should say. We also have Jay from Ohio. We have Alex from North Carolina. Welcome, guys. I really appreciate you guys are joining us here. And guys, if you have any questions, let us know. We're here to help you guys. One question that I have privately messaged to me was Sarah. She said, can you have more than one goal at a time? And the answer is yes and no. Usually what we recommend is that you have no more than 2 goals at the same time. If you have more than 2 goals at the same time, you should be a veteran at setting goals and achieving them. And even I personally don't even like to set more than 2 goals, even though I'm pretty decent at it. So I usually recommend for people to start with just 1. Once you can nail down 1 goal consistently, then moving up to 2 is much easier. One other thing you could do, and if you are somebody who likes to categorize stuff in your life like I do, what you could do is have 1 goal for your personal life and 1 goal for at work. So that way, when you're at work, you can focus on the goal that you have for at work. And then when you leave work and you come home and you have time off on the weekends, vacation, anytime you're at home, you can then focus on your personal goals, right? So you can wake up earlier, spend some more time after work, whatever your goals are. That's how you can have 2 goals at the same time.
Hey, Tan, can I jump in here real quick?
Absolutely.
Because I glossed over this really fast when we were doing the Wheel of Life exercise. But it's important, I think, to point out that a lot of the things that you want to do, your 1 goal, your big, hairy, audacious goal, a lot of times you can classify those into different categories. Like if you're using the 8 different categories in the Wheel of Life, I use the example of writing my book, and that actually checked 2 different boxes for me. The research process helped me learn a bunch of new techniques and new mindsets, which was part of the personal growth box. But I also used some of that stuff, actually a lot of that stuff, when I wrote the book, which checked the career box. And so one thing that I would say before you go and you have multiple goals is look for a way that you can synergize your different desired outcomes into one specific goal and then work towards that.
All right. Other questions, and I want to welcome some more people. So we have Leslie, who just joined us. So Leslie, welcome. We also have Bonnie, who just joined us. And we have Jack, who just joined us. So welcome, guys. I really appreciate that you guys are investing in yourself because this is how you're going to close the gap between where you are right now and where you want to be. And if you can just concentrate and focus that energy and attention in the right way, knowing exactly what you need to do and tip over that first domino, you're going to make significant progress. So that's what we're here to do for you guys. One more question that I have here is, a lot of people have been asking privately, Mike, how the hell do you get up at 5 a.m.? How the hell do you wake up so early and not disturb the wife and the kids and get that focused work on them? What's the magic there?
Yeah, we talked a lot about that in the last presentation that we did. And let me just be completely transparent and say that I got up at 5 a.m. at that particular season of my life because I had a very hard start date for a corporate job, which was 8 a.m. Okay. But I have a lot more flexibility in my schedule now. So I've moved it back an hour. I get up at 6 a.m. now, and my wife actually gets up at the same time as me. Now, if the question is, how do you get up without disrupting your significant other? There's a lot of tactical stuff that goes into that. I mentioned in the last presentation that I use an app called Sleep Cycle. And what it does is it kind of wakes you up at the top of your sleep cycle, not when you're in your deep sleep. So if you are using an alarm, and typically you just set it for a time and then it goes off and you feel like you have no idea where you are when you get up, that's because you're in your deep sleep when that alarm goes off. It's very hard to wake you up in that particular state. But what Sleep Cycle does is it looks for sometime in this 30-minute period where it's going to be the optimum time for you to wake up. And so I went from being one of those people who had 5 different iPhone alarms because I would snooze 1, snooze 2, snooze 3. Obviously, that is going to bug my significant other. I went from being that person to having just the one alarm. And as soon as it goes off, as soon as it starts, I'm up and I feel awake. I feel alert because I'm getting enough sleep and I'm making sure that I'm being woken up at the optimal time. So I think there's a couple different ways to answer that particular question. Number one would be the tactical stuff. So like Sleep Cycle would be a great tool. There's other tools that do sleep tracking. So I think like Fitbit or Jawbone, they can do the same sort of thing. And those will actually, you can keep on your wrist and they'll vibrate. So they don't even have to make any noise if you wanted to do something like that. And then the other thing is that it's really powerful when you get your significant other or your spouse on board with your dream or your vision. The alignment that comes from that makes everything else easier. I can tell you from personal experience that when your significant other is pulling in the same direction, that's a force multiplier towards you achieving your goals. So that is sometimes a difficult conversation. It can be hard to communicate your vision or your dream, but it's absolutely critical. You have to do that.
We have a question here from Orlando. You said, is the webinar offer only for the lead package? Yes, as it is right now, it's only for the lead package. And if you would like to join the corporate package, we have a link here in the chat that I can give you, or we can send you a follow-up email as well. But the bonuses and the discounts only for the lead package, because we figured this is something that most people need. If you happen to work in corporate and you would like to get the corporate package, you can get it through the special link that I've posted here in the chats. I understand some of you guys need approval. Some of you guys need to talk it over with your spouse or maybe have your work write it off. Do realize that this is only valid during this promotion right now. And like Mike said, we have a 100% money back guarantee. So if you want to get it, right now is the time to do it. If for some reason you need some sort of approval, you can always reverse it later. So if for some reason, your spouse says, oh, I don't know if that was a good idea, or if you explain to her or him, why you bought the course and what you want to get out of it, and for some reason she or he is not in alignment, you can always reverse it. We're not going to ask you any questions or make that a hassle for you. So I understand, this is an investment in yourself, and understand that, this is really going to help you. And we've tested this with so many people, from entrepreneurs to IT managers to salespeople to work at home parents, especially a lot of entrepreneurs to IT managers to salespeople to work at home parents, especially a lot of moms were in the beta program that have kids running around and they want to do, like an Etsy shop, they want to start their side business and they needed to get focused. So we really worked with as many people as we could to make sure that this program would work for you guys. And I want to make sure that, when you make this purchase, that you're confident that you're going to get the results. And if you don't, I will personally hop on the phone with you to make sure that I can clarify things for you and work with you, because I care about your success. Mike cares about your success. And our business is very simple. The more successful you become, the more successful Asian Efficiency becomes. So it's in our interest to help you as much as possible. And if for some reason that's not happening, let us know. We're here to help you, right? That's the whole purpose behind this company, is to make sure that you succeed. Because the more you succeed, the more we succeed. So it's a win-win situation for everybody here. So a question here from Lindsay: should my one thing be something I can finish soon, like a 1-year timeline, or like a long-term goal, like 10 years? So for most people, I recommend that your one thing is something short-term, because the most important thing is to get that momentum and to build up that momentum for you to get started. And once you keep that momentum going, then it's really to focus on the consistency part of it. And once you're consistent, on a monthly basis, then the big goal will eventually unfold itself. It will eventually be taken care of. But we can all set big goals and dream big. But if we can't get started on the simple things initially, then it's very difficult, if not impossible, to achieve our big visions. So that's why I always recommend for people to start on the small things, the little things you can do right now. Remember that domino effect that Mike was telling you guys about earlier? What is that one domino, your one thing that will triple everything else? So that's the one thing we're looking for. And inside this course, we're going to show you exactly how to find that one thing. That wheel of life that Mike showed you, that's a super powerful exercise. And I know it's sometimes a little difficult to do by yourself, but inside the course, we're going to walk you through on how to do that exactly and answer any questions you might have. Or if you need some support or you want to submit it to us and you want us to look at it, we're more than happy to do that as well, because we're here to make you succeed. Right? So if you have big things going on, like Creed is saying in the chat, make sure you break it down into smaller things so you find that one domino, that one thing that will push everything else forward.
Yeah, you want to eliminate as much resistance as you can for working on the one thing. And like I mentioned in the domino example, you don't want to say, I'm going to get to the moon. You want to say, I'm just going to knock over this 2-inch domino today. And then you show up and you make the same commitment. I'm going to knock over this 2-inch domino again tomorrow. And then you build up a chain like that. And the dominoes get bigger. Pretty soon, the results take care of themselves. There's a question here from Olha, which I believe is directed to me. It says, do you help your kids with school using these techniques? So I need to explain my situation, I think, a little bit. I do actually help a little bit with this school, but my wife actually stays at home. That is her dream, to be a stay-at-home mom. So I am the primary quote-unquote breadwinner, I guess, if you wanted to think of it that way. But one of the things that I do is I make sure that there is time consistently where I am able to spend with them. And because we homeschool our kids, that means that, for example, every other Wednesday morning, we all go out for breakfast together. And so we use these strategies, not necessarily in terms of like, we're going to check these boxes and get these things done, but to make sure that we can schedule that quality time together as a family. And really, it's just identifying, if you live with a significant other, you have kids, who is best gifted for the different roles and the different responsibilities. My wife is great. She's got a ton of patience, and she's like, she loves that role of homeschooling. And at first it was a little bit tough for her to envision herself in that role, but it was, she tried it, and then she's like, oh my gosh, this works. This is my thing. And so it's really just her being in a place that's really allowing her to flourish. And so these techniques, I would say, are going to help you not necessarily do a specific thing like me help out my kids with school, but they're going to allow you to specialize and do the things that are going to provide the greatest return on your investment towards helping you achieve your ideal future. So our ideal future is that our kids are getting educated not just according to the curriculum that is in the public schools that everybody else goes through, but we wanted to make sure that every single thing that we're doing, that's kind of it's tailored specifically for our individual kids and how they learn. And so I will say that the techniques in this course have allowed us to accomplish that goal together.
We have a question here by Simon. So Simon says, if you're waking at 5 a.m. to do your most important task, your MIT, to get 5 sleep cycles means you need to be in bed by 9:30. How do you balance that with getting any kind of evening social life after finishing a standard 9 to 5 workday? Great question. I used to be in a very similar situation. So before I started Asian Efficiency, I worked at a marketing agency. And my hours were like 10 to 6. So I came into work a little bit later, but I also left work a little bit later. And this is when I was a little bit younger. So I was like very active at night. I had a social life. I had a lot of friends. And when I made that sort of transition out of the dark ages, as I like to call it, when I was trying to figure out, how to really start a business and be productive and stay focused, I tried all sorts of stuff. And what I realized is, one, like Mike mentioned during the presentation, if you have the right amount of energy, you have the right kind of focus, you're going to be in that little sweet spot that Mike showed you. And so what I was lacking is getting enough sleep. And I didn't realize this because I was managing my time pretty well. I was using things at the time, and then I switched to OmniFocus. And I had a really strong desire because I had a very clear visual of what I wanted to achieve. But my social life was kind of unpredictable. Some nights I would go home early and then sleep in early. Some nights I didn't. And like you already know by this point, it's all about consistency, right? So I prioritized sleep as much as possible because I knew that was the key driver for my energy. And so I said to myself, okay, as long as I wake up early Sunday through Thursday night and sleep early Sunday night through Thursday, then I have Friday night and Saturday nights to go to bed at any time I wanted to and have a social life as I wanted to. So as long as I was consistent 5 days out of the 7 days, that was good enough for me to be able to focus and do a lot of the things I was focusing on. So at that time, I was very into fitness. So I made sure I woke up early and then went to the gym right away because that was my frog. That was my MIT, my most important thing. And so I was in great shape. My body fat was like 11%. I was like so obsessed about fitness. I ate right. I ate clean. I was watching my diet all the time and stuff like that. And that was like my lifestyle, right? So just going to bed early. And then my whole philosophy now, after going through that process, is as long as I make the right decisions most of the time, I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be happy and I'm going to be okay. So I'm not saying 51%, but if you make the right decision like 70, 80% most of the time, you're going to be fine. And it's the same thing here, right? So I was able to keep that consistently going so that I didn't feel guilty if I missed a day. I didn't feel like I was like lagging or behind because everybody's on their own journey. And so I hope that answers your question, Simon.
Let me jump in here again, because this kind of goes back to the whole wheel of life thing. Like, you need to rate your current satisfaction in the different areas of your life. So if you are prioritizing your social life, that's completely fine. Like, that might be your most important task for a period, is to make sure that you spend enough time with your friends and you have a good social life. That's completely okay. But there are other times when your most important task means that you're going to make sacrifices in some of these other areas. And it doesn't have to be long-term, but it is going to be for a short season. So I mentioned, like, it took me 8 months to write the book, but I honestly had the majority of it done in somewhere between 30 and 60 days because I just kept editing and editing and editing and editing and editing. So it's not like you have to completely cut the cord for a very long time in order to accomplish those goals. But also, I have a little bit different approach to this because I have been diagnosed with epilepsy. And so one of the things that can trigger a seizure is a lack of sleep. So I am militant about making sure that I get enough sleep. And so for me, it's not even a question of, 9:30, like, if I'm out with friends and they want to stay out for another couple hours, I'm saying, sorry guys, I'm out of here. So different priorities for different people, but it really comes down to, what is your one thing that you want to focus on?
I want to welcome a bunch of new members here. We have Michael from New Zealand, and then Jay from South Africa. Cool. I've never been to South Africa, but I've always wanted to go because I speak Dutch and I know they speak Afrikaans over there, which is very similar. And I also want to welcome Sam. So thank you guys for joining and investing in Finishers Fastlane. And Franklin here in the chat is saying, I started another focus course. I think this is going to give me more value for my money. Thanks, guys. Yeah, no, I totally get it, Franklin, and I'm glad you invested inside the program, and we're here to help you. If you need any advice or tips specifically for your situation, contact us. We're here to help you. And like Mike mentioned earlier, there are a bunch of other focus courses out there. So you might be wondering, okay, how is this different? What makes this so special? So Mike already showed you how we invested a lot of time and money into this and the craftsmanships that went into this and thousands of dollars. We literally spent like 18 months going through this material. And some of you guys have mentioned in the chat already, I bought this like last year during one of the beta programs because we spent a lot of time testing, refining stuff over time so that we know that this program is going to work for as many people as possible, right? So we keep testing to make sure that it works so that by the time you join, when it's the public announcement right now, you know that what you're getting is something that's proven to work regardless of your age range, your background, your gender, if you have kids or not. We want to make sure that this system is going to work for you, right? And we also made sure that we didn't leave it up to chance. So that's why we're adding all these master classes here, right? So if you have trouble focusing, but the course doesn't address your procrastination issues, well, guess what? You're never going to focus. So that's why we're adding this procrastination masterclass here so that you can get that addressed right away. If you're somebody who gets easily distracted and you also find like new things to experiment with and you jump ship whenever there's a new app coming out, well, you have the shiny syndrome. And we want to make sure that you overcome that as well. So that's why we have the shiny new object masterclass there as well to address that. And I know there's a lot of parents who follow us and go through our materials, and sometimes they'll say, well, Tan, this works for you because you're young, you don't have any kids. Well, that's why I want to make sure that Mike was the main person going through this course and teaching the materials a lot of the times because, one, he has 4 kids. So he's able to manage to become a keynote speaker, to become a published author, and do all these amazing things. Now, I noticed that he was doing all these amazing things. So I knew when I saw that, I needed to bring him on. And that's why I brought Mike on to the Asian efficiency team. And we have so many parents inside our courses already that they think, oh, this is not for me. And that's why we put this Focus for Parents Masterclass as well. So you know exactly that this is going to be designed for you. And we're going to give even more specific strategies of how you're going to work with your kids, how to talk to them, what to say, and how to organize your schedule around your kids so you can focus and do the things you want to do, whether that's starting a side business, spending more time with your kids, spending more time with your significant other, or some other projects that you might have going on. See. So Simon says, thanks, Mike. Definitely appreciate Milton's attitude to sleep. My brain doesn't function without it. I totally get it. And we want to make sure that you're taking care of your energy as much as possible because energy is super foundational to getting focused and being able to push forward right away. And Sam said, we don't have any access to shiny objects right away. There's so much information in there, so we don't want to overwhelm you right away. So we want to make sure you watch the foundational videos first, and then we're going to open up all the other classes that we have planned. And we have some more videos coming out soon as well, because there's so much content in there. So we want to make sure you don't get overwhelmed right away. Michelle said, Mike, you've come a long way since you started teaching for AE. Thanks for today.
Thank you, Michelle.
You're welcome. So I just want to remind you guys, hey, this special offer is only available during this live presentation. So if you're at this point, you're still deciding whether you should get it or not, as soon as we get off, this offer is going to be gone, and that link is not going to work anymore. So if you want to get the $100 discount plus all the bonuses, make sure you join right now, because that's going to be gone within the next couple minutes. And I hate to see you miss out on all of this stuff. So the $100 discounts plus all the bonuses only valid right now. And if you're watching the replay, if you go to that link, you're going to see the $5.99 price point at that point. So I want to make sure that all the people that are alive here are rewarded for taking action and getting that discount as a way of, you know, showing our appreciation to you. So make sure you take action right now if you've decided to join, because after this, the special offer is going to be gone. Okay, any more questions? Let's see.
I want to chime in on, I believe it was Franklin who mentioned that this might give them more value compared to other focus courses. When you log in, you'll probably see in the lower right-hand corner, like a little chat bubble. Maybe you'll see Tan's face. It essentially, what that allows you to do is you can watch the video, and then in the same interface, if you have any questions about any of the content, you can essentially chat with us. Now, it's not a true live chat, but what it does give you is direct access to myself, Tan, Brooks, any of the other experts that are on the Asian Efficiency team. And if I did the video and you have a really, really good question, that's going to be assigned to me because I'm going to be the one that's going to be answering it. And I'm going to be able to answer your specific question on that particular video, but it provides you a way where you don't have to go and you don't have to open up another application. You don't have to send an email to support at Asian Efficiency and say, well, I was at this page and I was trying to make all of this make sense. It really does provide us a direct line of communication with you because we want to help you put this stuff into action. So even as you're going through the videos, like if you have a question on a specific video, you can absolutely use that tool to get your questions answered. And I think that that's one of the things, that was one of the things that I championed for. I know. And I think that's one of the things that sets us apart is it's not just a generic help desk. Like you literally do have the red phone to the Asian Efficiency support team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And one other thing that makes this course very different from other focus courses out there is that we have a whole team working on this. So there's a lot of focus courses out there that are based on one personality or one person and how they do a certain thing or a certain way. And that's fine. You know, if you have the exact same personality, the exact same Kolbe score, the exact same Myers-Briggs personality, then, you know, that could work really well for you. However, what we have identified is that if we can bring an expert and have multiple of them on the same team, and then go through the materials and teach how we do things and formulate it in a way that allows to be a system that works for multiple people, then you're going to get the best of the best. So Mike spent a lot of time on this. I spent a lot of time on this. Brooks spent a lot of time on this. So you have multiple experts working on the same thing, and you're going to learn from the best of the best as well. And on top of that, we tried and tested this with hundreds of people. And if you got any sort of value from our free content, imagine what you're going to get inside this course, where we spent thousands of dollars, hundreds of hours into this course, where we have some of the best materials inside there that we don't even teach anywhere else. And so that's what makes this course so different and special, is that you're going to learn from some of the best people, but also you'll just know that this is going to work for you, regardless of your background and situation. And I'm really confident that as soon as you dive in and you're going to go through that quick start section that we have, you're going to see some immediate results as well. Okay, guys, we're going to wrap up Q&A in just like 2 minutes or so. So if you were thinking of joining, right now is the time. So we just had a new member join in. So we have Jan from the Czech Republic. Hey, Jan, nice to see you again. And thank you so much for investing in this course. I know I've chatted with you before, and it's great to see you inside the course as well. Jesse says, thank you, Tan, Mike, and AE staff. You're welcome. And Peter says, have a productive day, everyone. Thank you so much, guys. So we have about a minute left before we wrap up Q&A here. So right now is the last time you're going to get this discount, right, guys? Over the next couple of days, we're going to still have the course open, and you're going to be able to join, but it's going to be at a higher price, and you're going to miss out on some of the bonuses here as well. So if you really want to get all of this that you see here on the screen, join right now. Right now is the time to do it. Okay, let's see. We have time for one more question. So Jack said, would this advice be applicable for people who have goals of equal priority? Can you focus on a few things at a time, or is it better to focus on only one thing? Great question. So this kind of relates back to having multiple goals and really understanding what's important. So if you have multiple goals, if one is for work and one is for personal, then yes, you can have multiple goals and you can have the same system apply to both goals, right? Now, it's kind of dangerous if you say equal priority, because as soon as you say that, then what you're missing and what you're not seeing is that usually there's nothing of equal importance. And a lot of times we get overwhelmed and frustrated when we think everything is equally important. And that's like a red flag. If you find yourself in a situation where you say to yourself, oh, they are all important, that's when you don't really know what is really important and you lack that clarity. So that's when I would advise you to do the Wheel of Life exercise that Mike showed earlier, because it will help you get clarity in terms of what is actually important and what matters to you. So then once you know the area you need to focus on or want to focus on, then you're looking for things that are in alignment with that. And then you'll start to see that actually none of them are equally important. There's only one or two things that actually matter. And those are then the things you want to focus on. So I hope that answered your question. Cool. Well, I think that's it for questions. Mike, do you have anything else you want to share?
No, just thank you everybody for your time today. We really do appreciate the time that you've invested, and I hope that you got a lot out of this training. We tried to jam it full of practical, actionable content. You know, there were some exercises in here which actually came from the course, like the Wheel of Life. That's part of the course. So if you liked what you saw today, then I believe that you're gonna love Finishers Fastlane. But just thanks everybody for being on today.
Thank you, everybody. Enjoy your day, and I hope to see you inside the course. And again, one last plug, you know where to go. Go to tinyurl.com/aefinish if you want to take advantage of this bonus right now. And I want to welcome everybody that just joined, like Bonnie and Lindsay and Creed. They're here hanging out in the chats. You guys made a great investment. I can't wait to see you guys inside the course. And like Mike mentioned earlier, we're here to help you guys. We know you guys are ambitious. You guys have big goals. You guys have things you want to achieve. And you're in a situation right now where you want to leapfrog forward. And we're here to help you. So I'm really thankful and grateful that you guys are investing in yourself and that we're here for you to help out as well. And we're going to be here to support you along the journey. And whether you're not investing in this course, hopefully we'll join you at some other point in time. But if you're really serious about investing in yourself and in your future, join this course right now, especially while you can get it discounted. Okay? So thank you guys. Thank you, Adele. Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you, Michelle, Sam, Franklin, everybody that invested inside the course and joined us here today for this live training. Thank you. And thank you, Mike, for presenting today. This was awesome. And I'm grateful for you and what you've done today and having you on the team. And it's always great to see you teach and impact other people's lives here. And, chat shows people love you.
Oh, shucks.
Thank you all. Have a great day.
Everyone.
Bye-bye.